Hello YouTube, it's your boy GoT Gaming. Thank you for coming to this video, also known as Tragic Reels over at Twitch. The link is in the description if you want to go see me live, play games, or whatever the case may be. But as you can see in this video, I'm playing Battlefield 6 campaign. Psych! Technically, I'm playing Battlefield 3. It looks so similar to Battlefield 6 in a lot of ways. In this video, I'm about to break down the mechanics that Battlefield 3 has that Battlefield 6 had copy and paste in their game when it comes to destructions, mechanics, and every other system that comes to mind. Now, I might give you a summary of the history of Battlefield and why Call of Duty always stole the show when Battlefield always got a little bit of hype, and why Battlefield have failed to, gravitate those casual audience that Call of Duty have been grabbing every single year, and the reason why they be using certain tactics and copying other tactics from other games, and how they've been successful by doing that and still tricking the audience to buying their product even if the product is half bad. Well, the product might be absolutely bad, but people will still play it because of what? The competitive scene. And I think the competitive scene for a lot of games keep a game live even if the game have died to the casual audience of gaming. Like, for example, Halo Infinite, even though that game flopped to the casual audience, the people that just play the game when they get off work, it still have a competitive scene that is enjoyable to watch if you're trying to up your skill in that game, if you're still a fan of a sci-fi FPS shooter. But I'm gonna go over more about that towards the end of the video. But right now, I'm about to tell y'all the reason why I think that Battlefield 6 is basically a copy and paste, or a rehash or refresher or remake of Battlefield 3 based on these 5 different topics. I'm gonna go over shooting mechanics, realism, the way you die, the explosions, and destruction. As you can see in this video, you might not be able to slide in this game, but you're able to do certain things that I've seen in Battlefield 6 that looks similar. Like, for example, when you revive somebody or you dragging someone back and you could revive them, this game had that. If I'm not mistaken, I think this game had it in multiplayer. I haven't played multiplayer that much in this game. I played Battlefield 4 more than I played Battlefield 3, because I think when I played Battlefield 3, I think I had to buy the game or something like that to get to play it. But when I played it, I didn't like it because it took out some of the destruction that I liked in the previous game, which is Battlefield Bad Company 2. For those who don't know, that's new to the Battlefield series, Battlefield Bad Company 2 was one of the games that was supposed to dethrone NW2. But the reason why that game did not dethrone it at that time is because the game has a different skill gap, and it was a different era, and was more like a team base. It wasn't like a fast-paced competitive scene for it. Like, Call of Duty had that, and that's what kept that game alive. Nobody really was doing trick shots on Battlefield Bad Company 2. Yes, it was videos of people trying to compare and contrast, saying Battlefield Bad Company 2 was more realistic, but a lot of people did not gravitate to Battlefield because the game was more realistic. And I think the game came out before its time. Like, it was too advanced for people to fathom, like, realism in games. Now everybody is asking for realism in games. That's why people was kind of upset when Call of Duty went the jetpack route, like Titanfall. And another thing, since they going back to how Battlefield used to be, I think they went back to Battlefield 3 and played that game and played the multiplayer and seen how you was able to destroy every single structure. And I think Battlefield Bad Company 2 did it best. As in, like, even though that game came out, back in 2008 or whatever year it was when NW2 came out, and it was competing against that game at that time, I think they went back in time and look at how the destruction was and what made that game special. And then I think they took some of the maps from Battlefield 3 and put them in Battlefield 6. I think I have a clip that I can show you as we speak right now that will show you, okay, this map is in Battlefield 3. If y'all remember that sandy map with the sun, it looks kind of like, yellowishy, and it has sand, it has a lot of dirt, it's a lot of mud, it's a crater at sea. When you do Conquest, it's like a big ass hole by the bus, and you can hide underneath it to capture sea. That's a map I think they kind of like remade and redid from Battlefield 3. And then some of the game mechanics, like the aiming and the way how you shoot the grenades and when you blow up a tank or whatever, they kind of like took the same aspects from Battlefield 3 and then like remade it for this era and this generation of gaming. And I'm looking at the way how the rocket launcher shoots, the way how you aim, the way how you crawl. Even though this game did not have slide canceling or sliding or diving or whatever the case may be, the way you drop shot is the same. The way you move and the way how clunky it is and the way how I feel when I move around in this game, it reminds me of Battlefield 6 in so many ways. This is probably the only Battlefield that I remember that added aim snap on, which is like the aim assist that Call of Duty had when you got a controller plugged up, and I didn't even know it had featured on PC. So I'm assuming this is like one of the very first Battlefields that you can play on PC with a controller. And if I'm not mistaken, the way how this game moved, the way how they made it cinematic, and the way how the building and the destruction and the smoke and the clouds pop up, even though this is like a last gen kind of quality, it has a lot of characteristics that Battlefield 6 has. And I'm thinking that they did go back to Battlefield 3 to look at that and seeing, oh wow, this is good. Why we took this out of our games? I don't know, maybe y'all was trying so hard to be like Call of Duty. And I think the main reason why they probably went back to Battlefield 3, because this is basically their peak. Battlefield 3 was their peak when it came to like audience retention. So when they went back to it, they probably looked at Battlefield 3, played the multiplayer, seen how the jets move around. They seen how the destruction can be in that game, how you could destroy every single building. You could put a hole in every single building. They seen that, and they kind of like took something that they got from Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3, smush it together, thought about Battlefield Bad Company 2, and then put that game into Battlefield 6. And that's what I get from Battlefield 6. Because Battlefield 3, during that era, that was their peak when it came to audience retention. Like keeping them for a long period of time. Because when Battlefield 4 came out, they was able to bring those people from Battlefield 3 over to Battlefield 4. But they stopped adding updates, they stopped adding DLCs, they stopped adding new maps and new places to destroy and destruction. You know what I'm saying? Because when somebody's getting off work and they drinking some beer, they might want to blow a hole in the wall just to release some anger on a video game. And Battlefield 4 didn't really have that. They had structures you could destroy, but it wasn't on the type of level that Battlefield 3 has it. It did have levolution, but that was just a gimmick that they just added in the game that can either make or break the map for tank drivers or whoever like that type of vibes in a game. In Battlefield 4, if I'm not mistaken, they did add where you could sit up there and repair bridges and stuff like that. But I don't think in Battlefield 2142 they had it where you could do a lot of destruction at launch. And I think they try to add maps where you could do destruction, but those maps was from like Battlefield Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3 maps that they remade and put into 2042 and try to say, you know, this is what we wanted at the beginning, but it's too late now. You lost all the audience that wanted that type of destruction. Y'all didn't have no content when we first got on the game, and now y'all trying to say, well, here you go, like after 2 years later, and you already lost that audience to play other games. Now y'all trying to bring them back by bringing back Battlefield 3. I don't know how I could put it in words and break it down to you why Battlefield 3. I didn't even go over the topics. I just said that the destruction is similar, right? I already told y'all that. The gunplay is similar, right? The way how you shoot your gun and shoot your rocket launcher, that's similar. Now I gotta go over the movement. The movement is similar, as in like when you lay down, when you roll. I don't even know if they had rolling in that game. They just didn't have sliding. So if you take sliding out of the equation, you have Battlefield 3. That's what Battlefield 6 is. If you take sliding out of Battlefield 6, you got Battlefield 3 remake. Like that's basically what that is. It's like a remaster, like how they did with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. That's what I get from Battlefield 6. The only difference that I can say, they still got the same gadgets and everything, but they made it where the gadgets you have to sit up there and charge them up based on objectives and stuff like that. Even though the gadgets was automatic in Battlefield 3, I think Battlefield 3 made you strict to a class setup. Like the recons only use snipers and marksman rifles and might have like a submachine gun as a secondary or whatever, whereas the assault class use assault rifles and submachine guns and shotguns or whatever. Whereas they made Battlefield 6 where you have a freedom to do that. So all they did is went back to the drawing board, look what they peaked at, and fix what they did with 2042, and renamed it and rebrand the game to Battlefield 6. So everything that y'all wanted in 2042, they gonna put it in Battlefield 6. So like the futuristic jet wingsuit and all that, that might be in a Portal mod or whatever the case may be. When you create your own maps, you can sit there create a Battlefield 2042 map that you really wanted, which is more destruction with the futuristic type of vibes to it. Because I think what put a bad taste in a lot of Battlefield fans' mouth with 2042 is that most of the maps at launch was open, and if it did have buildings, you couldn't destroy all of them, and you only could put a hole in a few of them. So it wasn't really a Battlefield vibes. It felt like Battlefield 2142, where that game didn't have no destruction, and I think that game only launched on PC because that game was an online only game, and I think it came out in 2005 during the time when Call of Duty 3 was out and shit like that. If y'all not familiar with Battlefield 2142, just look it up on Google. I might just put the picture right here in the video right now. This is Battlefield 2142. It had robots instead of tanks. I think instead of it being airplanes, they had drones. They had other stuff that, you know, if you ever played Battlefield 2 MC on console, that was basically in that same, like, I could say timeline-ish, or you could say Battlefield 2 MC is basically Battlefield 2042, whereas Battlefield 2142 is 100 years after that, where instead of us having tanks, we using robot suits, and we going around shooting up shit. And the game, I think they was competing with PlanetSide with that game, because that game did feature, I think, 120 players in one lobby, but that game was only on PC, and it didn't have the popularity at that time until I think somebody must have requested to remake 2142, because that game was different. We never actually got a remake of that game. I don't know if y'all know this, but Battlefield 4 put bad taste in a lot of Battlefield fans' mouth when it came out, when people played it at launch. Like, all the promises that people was looking at, they did give the promises, but they took out some features that Battlefield 3 had. Like the Levolution, that was cool, but that's the same thing y'all advertised in 2042. Because like I said, with 2042, all that was a remake of 2142, but all y'all did is went back a century. I never played 2142 that much. I played a little bit of it, but I don't think it had destruction. I think that game was just like Battlefield 2 MC. Let me give y'all the history of it. So Battlefield 1942 was like the very first Battlefield. You could call that Battlefield 1, but it was Battlefield 1942, right? Then they came out with Battlefield Vietnam, Battlefield 2. Then Battlefield 2 Modern Combat, meaning that Battlefield 2 was more so like towards the like after the Vietnam War, like towards that, around that era. And then Battlefield 2 MC was kind of like taking a 10-year jump. Like, this is supposed to be like 2010, 2015 type vibes, and this is their idea of what war would be in that timeline, because like it take place around that time. And then 2142, I don't know if that who they was competing with when they made this. This was only on PC at the time. And then you got Battlefield Bad Company 1, 2008. Because I think they came out with a booster pack with 2142, but it was only on PC. That didn't come out with it on console, I don't think. And then Bad Company was the only console launch that came out that was supposed to compete with Modern Warfare 1, obviously, right? And it had destruction. The campaign was dope, but I think the multiplayer was lacking because they didn't have a lot of content. That's what they was lacking, just like they lacking with this game. That's why the game wasn't hype until they had Battlefield Heroes 2009. Nobody cared about that. I think that was more like a mobile game or whatever. Then they had Battlefield 1943. Now, 1943 was a remake of 1942, and it had like the 360 vibes to it. And that game actually did hype up for Battlefield Bad Company 2. Because before Battlefield Bad Company 2, you would be playing Battlefield 1943, especially as a kid, if you wasn't of age to go buy the game. You could just buy the game on the arcade, and I think that game was a ready T for everyone. Or it was ready T for teens. I think that game was ready T for teens, right? Then you got Battlefield Online. They came out right after Battlefield Bad Company 2, around that same year, and they made that for PC for people to play other maps to be able to play like the older Battlefield games and Battlefield 2, Battlefield Bad Company 2. Like they put this game was like the predestined of Battlefield 3. It was like an experiment. It was like they beta for Battlefield 3 basically. Then when they actually launched Battlefield 3, they came out with a different approach. They looked at Battlefield Bad Company 2 and made it better, as in like graphical wise. The storyline was better. Like the story in Battlefield Bad Company 2 was not that bad. I just think that, you know, I played Battlefield Bad Company 1. I think I like Battlefield Bad Company 1 campaign. Then I like Battlefield Bad Company 2. But the multiplayer on Battlefield Bad Company 2, it was probably the best, hands down. Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 has its own way of approaching the multiplayer scene. But before all of that, it got Battlefield Play for free. I played that, and I think it was just like an extension to Battlefield Online. All they did is took those servers and made it Battlefield Play for free. And then Battlefield 3 came out. Right? Then that was in 2011. These both came out the same year. It just said Battlefield Play for free was just to get people familiar with Battlefield that don't want to pay for it. Right? And they were trying to go with the free-to-play era. They were trying to find out how to make money in the free-to-play scene. This is like EA was already ahead of its time before Call of Duty even thought about making free-to-play games. Battlefield did it first. It's just that Battlefield was doing stuff before its time. It was too advanced for its time. There was a lot of stuff that EA was doing. If they would have did it now, they would have already gravitated a lot of customers to that game if they would have did Battlefield Play for free in this timeline. But they didn't. You get what I mean? Well, they did 2042 because of the Game Pass. Well, now after that, Battlefield 4 came out 2 years later. So I think what EA did, they kind of kept the Battlefield fans kind of drive with Battlefield 3 because they did not come out with no extra, like, I think they came out with Vietnam or whatever DLCs that came out around that time. But I think they kind of like left their customers drive for a year at least. Because in 2012, what they was doing, releasing DLCs. They wasn't really releasing anything that year. So you had a whole year of Battlefield 3 and nothing new to play. Guess what you're gonna do? Try out Call of Duty because you're getting tired of playing the same thing over and over again. It's kind of like eating that same piece of candy flavor over and over again and then your teeth get sore. That's basically what happened. And then when Battlefield 4 came out, people was expecting. The trailer kind of advertised the destruction that Battlefield 3 has, but greater. They was telling us that. They advertised it, right? The only thing we seen in there was Levolution, meaning that you could destroy a building and it would change the whole environment, the whole level. Because this is what Call of Duty Ghosts was doing too. Once you nuke, you could do a double nuke in one game. And it won't end the game. You can nuke the game twice. I did it. I nuked it once and I nuked it again. You could nuke twice in one game if you want to on Call of Duty Ghosts, and it would change the whole building, the whole structure of the game, or whatever the case may be. Like some maps was able to change up and it would look totally different from how it was. They had like a floating building in the sky or something on Call of Duty Ghosts at that time. I didn't have Battlefield 4, but I wouldn't mind playing Battlefield 4 at that time. I think I played the beta and it was cool. I like the fact that it had Levolution and where the buildings can fall down on you and shit like that. That was realistic, but I felt like it was missing something that Battlefield 3 had. And I ain't played Battlefield 3 to know what it had because I'd seen the campaign. I think I played a little bit of it. And then Battlefield Bad Company 2, I think what made me not get Battlefield 3 because it didn't have the destruction that Bad Company 2 had. That's what it was. Because the destruction in Battlefield Company 2, I think every building can get destroyed. In Battlefield 3, every building could get destroyed. I think they had like limitations too, but it wasn't as limited as Battlefield 4. Battlefield 4 limit you on buildings that you could destroy, buildings that you can tear down, buildings that you could blow up with a tank, and buildings that really would ever get a hole in it. Like it was some buildings you can't even blow a hole in Battlefield 4. And then they made Hardline, which is like a slap in the face to a lot of Battlefield fans because they didn't ask for that. Nobody asked for cops and robbers. Who came up with that idea? I guess they were just trying to try out new ideas. They was like, well, what if we do cops and robbers because the Division is coming out? We want to compete with that. That's what I'm thinking why they made Hardline. Because Division came out in 2015. Now that I think about it, Division came out around that time and they were trying to make something that could compete with that. And Hardline was one of them. Hardline wasn't a bad game. If you were a fan of Hardline, that's you. You know what I'm saying? You didn't play Battlefield Bad Company 2 or Battlefield 3 to know what a good game is if Hardline is one of your favorite Battlefield games. Now, it was slept on. Yes, it was a good game. I liked the campaign, but I did not like the multiplayer aspect of cops and robbers. I don't know. I just couldn't get into it because it would sound kind of childish. When Battlefield 1 came out, now, one thing about Battlefield 1, on the other hand, because I bought that game, that one was actually pretty cool. It reminded me of 1942. Battlefield 1, because they never had a Battlefield 1 title. So Battlefield 1 reminded me of 1942. It just did not have as much destruction as 1942, as in like the buildings falling on top of you. But it came out in 2016. Or yeah, it came out in 2016. And this is when they was coming out with Battlefields almost every year. And then they stopped and wait for 2 years to come out with Battlefield 5. When they could have easily came out with that a year after, because basically Battlefield 5 was just like the Vietnam War of Battlefield 1. Like Battlefield 5 was basically Battlefield 2 remake. So they remade one of your favorite Battlefields, Battlefield 1942. They remade Battlefield 2, and then they remade Battlefield 2142, which is 2042. It just went back a century, renamed it a century. Now they got Battlefield 6. Guess what game they remade to make this? Battlefield 3. And if you made it this far in this video, I want to say thank you, man. Hit that like button though, and subscribe, and comment in the comment section if you're new to this channel. Comment in the comment section. I can see that you're new. And then go follow me on twitch.tv/tragicreels. You know, the thing is, like, you understand the whole video, the whole concept, and the reason why 2042 flopped is because it did not have the promises that people was assuming that was going to happen with 2042. A lot of people don't know why 2042 even became the name, and I'll tell them. I'll say the reason why, because they had a game called 2142. It's just that a lot of people didn't play it at that time because it was on PC. A lot of people couldn't afford PCs at that time, and a lot of gamers was on console. Online gaming wasn't a big thing until 2007, 2008, when COD 4 came out. But you know, to each his own. I just know that Battlefield 6 is a remake of Battlefield 3 with better gimmicks and stuff like that. I just hope that they keep the destruction at bay, close to Battlefield Bad Company 2, because I don't know how far that they can take the destruction with this new technology that they're using. But all I gotta say is I just hope for the best for this game, and it doesn't flop out, and they give us enough content like 2042, and they need to go ahead and add co-op to the game, just like Battlefield 3, because that's what Battlefield 3 had. If it doesn't, so be it, but it won't make or break the game, because I'm still gonna play the multiplayer. I just hope they just add it in there, just for the fun of it, shits and giggles. You know what I'm saying? Add co-op to it. That's all we asking, so we can play the campaign together. That'll be fun. I can play the campaign with my homeboy. Hell yeah, and make the game harder. That would be fun. And I am going to sit up there and make a video about that. I'm gonna beg EA to make Battlefield 6 with a co-op mission. Like, have co-op missions or co-op campaign. The whole campaign co-op. Like, don't change everything. Like, we be one of the other characters that's in the movie, or whatever the case may be. And then we could go on separate paths sometimes, or whatever the case may be, and try to solve puzzles, because it's co-op. Since it's co-op, you add an extra thing that I have to do to complete that mission, compared to if I'm doing it solo. Like, if y'all do that with the campaign, this game will keep people around, especially if y'all add some more campaign storylines to it, if y'all continue the story mission. But yeah, hit that like button, man.
Oh my gosh, I gotta find a different location. These motherfuckers,
they taking those. Oh, they taking your spot.
Damn.
Now come to C. Come to C.
No, you go to C. Why the fuck my shit so far, man?
I want to know what kind of maps they're gonna add. This
ain't
like a battle
map, bro.
This reminds me of Battlefield 3. This map right here.
They not adding no maps, bro.
They're gonna keep these. Okay.
Yeah.
Imagine they don't add any more maps, is it?
That shit, man. Fuck, I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yo, bro, I swear to God, if they did that, I'm getting a